Hello and welcome to 5 Habits of. Today I'm joined by the brilliant Vicky Lewis. She is going to be taking you through her 5 habits to save time and simplify your business. Hello, Vicky Lewis. How are you?
I'm good, Michael. How are you?
I'm good. Although it is absolutely throwing it down outside my window, but I am warm and I am dry. So that's all we need in the world.
That's good. We actually have a little bit of sunshine here. So, yeah.
Congratulations. I will have some of that. If you drop it in the post, I'd be extremely grateful. So today we're going to be talking about your 5 habits to save time and simplify your business. But before we go into that, could you tell us just a tiny bit about who you are and how you see the world?
Absolutely. So, yeah, Vicky Lewis, or Victoria Lewis, as I'm known kind of on the Tinternet, because it's easier to spell, but Vicky's good. So I'm a bit of a systems nerd. I love it. I'm a geek. I geek out over all these kind of how to do things and how to make things better and how to streamline and make things quicker and easier. So I help kind of founders and agency owners to streamline and automate their businesses so that there's less touch points, so less manual touch points, but a really great service for their clients, but without having to have their personal touch point on every part of the business. So yeah, absolutely.
I love it. I love it. And actually, when I realized what you do, I thought it worked really well with how I deal with people, how I help people think as well. Because as people grow into roles and businesses, they often find something low value done very quickly to make sure that it's then going very smoothly.
Yeah, absolutely.
Cool. Right. So with that in mind, what is habit number 1 that we need to be thinking about today?
Okay, so my habits are all around saving time and building a better business process so that you can do things in a more streamlined and effective way. So habit number 1 is brain dumping and batching your tasks. So this is all about making sure that your tasks don't live inside your head, but we get everything out, whether that's onto a piece of paper or it's a digital to-do list of some description. I always advocate my clients get everything out of their head, even the little things, the things you don't think you need to write down because you've got it, get it all out on paper. And then what I get them to do is to batch them into like-minded tasks so that then you can say that you're going to do all of your small admin tasks together, or you're going to do all of your email related tasks together, or you're going to do all of your client tasks at the same time, so that then you're not switching focus between the things that you're doing through the day. So there's a little known fact that it takes us up to 26 minutes to switch focus. So if we're distracted in the middle of a task, it can take up to 26 minutes for us to refocus back to what we were doing. So what we want to do through our day is make sure we have as little amount of those refocus points as possible, so that we can work on one thing at a time, move to the next, etc. And we lose that kind of not really time where we're doing anything worthwhile because we're actually switching focus backwards and forwards. And that could be to our phone or between tasks. For example, if you're working on a client task and an email comes in and it pings up here and you're like, oh, I wonder what that was. And before you know it, you're 20 minutes into replying to an email and not doing what you were doing in the first place. And then when you come back, you're like, well, where was I? What was I doing before that? What's that stream of consciousness has kind of gone? And you need that time to kind of get back into what you're doing. So I always advocate group like-minded tasks together and work on those for periods of time so that you have a small break between your different types of tasks, but you don't have to keep switching backwards and forwards between tasks of different types.
Nice. Okay. So let me check. So in my world, that would be if I'm writing a proposal for someone, not trying to have a chat in my community at the same time, because those are counterproductive. So actually really being, what's the word? Conscious of where my effort's going, because actually writing a proposal is quite a complex task, but so is also having a conversation in a Slack channel, because you're trying to keep 2 trails of thought. So keep those separate.
Yeah, I think like quite often we know that we shouldn't be scrolling on social media while we're in the middle of something, but we don't always apply the same kind of level of focus to not answering a client email or not popping into a different piece of work or not answering a client message. All of those things still detract from what we're trying to focus on in that moment. So it's about batching your tasks together so that you keep similar types of work at the same times.
Nice. Okay, I love that. I love that. So if that's habit number 1, what's habit number 2?
Habit number 2 is standard operating procedures for everything. So this takes time. So standard operating procedure, first of all, sounds big and fancy, but all it is a step-by-step guide to how things need to be done. So for example, the example I tend to use is a cup of tea. So if you needed to write down the steps to make a cup of tea, you might fill the kettle, boil the kettle, get your cup ready, put your tea bag in, put the water in before the milk, obviously, etc. And you would just map out the steps that need to happen. 2 reasons why I suggest that people do this is, first of all, mapping out those steps will make you see exactly what needs to be done. And if it's just you on your own, obviously you're doing every step. If it's a team, you can then allocate the steps to your team. But it also makes you realize sometimes when you're doing things more than once, or you're going a long way around something. So you're able to have a look at those steps and go, is step 3 really necessary? Is there a different way I could do that? So it helps you think about not only your current process, but what could that process look like if you tidied it up? And then you can, once you've got those steps in place, this now makes it easier. If you do need to delegate, you have a process to give somebody. So you've mapped out how you want something done. You've gone through and you've checked to see that it's being done in the best possible way. And now you have a repeatable process that either yourself can use or anybody else, if you ask them to help you, or you take on a new team member or a VA, they have a process to work to, rather than that process living in your head and you have to kind of explain what you want each time you want it.
Yeah. Okay. That makes, the sanity of that is brilliant, because especially if you, because the people I talk to are small business owners and ops leaders, and ultimately you're going to build a process to do something, and then you need to give it to somebody else, or you need to digitize it. So either way, that operating procedure written out is only going to serve you in the future. And if you've got 10 things in your head, I can guarantee things get missed, because we are beautifully simple humans, all of us. No matter how smart we think we are, we forget stuff.
Yeah, I've actually got an email I wrote a couple of days ago to go out next week, which is, we all have systems and processes, even if we don't think we do, but they live up here. So we all know how to make a cup of tea. We don't necessarily need a piece of paper to tell us how to do it, but we know what the steps are. We follow those steps every time we make a cup of tea. And it's the same in our business. So when you take on a new client, you know the steps you're going to take to onboard that client and to start the delivery process. You might not do it the same way every time, but you know what you need to do. It's just about thinking out those steps and writing them down. So you have got a process. You just might not have written it down, or looked at the steps, or thought about what needs to be done and what doesn't. What are you doing that you don't need to be doing? What could be automated or given to somebody else? So we all have the processes. They're there. They just usually live in our head until the point that we get them out. So the important thing, the tip really, is get them out of your head and get them onto a piece of paper, into steps, tidy them up if you need to, and then you have them.
Brilliant. Beautiful. Thank you very much. So what is our third habit?
Now, the third habit leads straight into, or from, number 2. So my third habit is the 1 hour fix rule. So 1 hour per week to optimize or automate one system or process in your business. So where I've said to you, documents, processes for everything, set aside 1 hour a week, 1 hour a fortnight if you're time poor, and put that hour aside to get a couple of those processes out and onto paper, and pop that into your schedule and schedule it like you would any other kind of working on your business task, to get those processes out and onto paper, and think about how you can make those processes better and how you could possibly automate them and or delegate them.
Nice. And I think you said something very briefly there that I think is a really good concept for people to get their heads around. It's the on the business and in the business. Because like a lot of the work I end up doing with people is they get caught working in their business, doing things for customers and producing things into the world. But actually the real movement comes for us personally in our business when we start working on it to free up our time. So you nailed it there with saying spend even 1 hour a week working on your business,
Yeah.
that's quite a lot. That's a whole working week by the end of the year optimizing your business.
Yeah, and realistically, writing these processes down is the start of anything else. So when you're working on your business, you're looking at how you can deliver to your clients, how you can make something better, how you could create a resource. It all starts with knowing what you're trying to achieve. So your processes of how to onboard a client will lead then into the things you need to do to work on your business to improve your business. So it's kind of a starting point really for any future improvements.
Absolutely. And Agatha's dropped a comment here that she's starting a business, and she started to map them out because it's easy. I think I can hold my hands up saying I've invented two or three variations of the same process because I forgot I'd done it once. Until you click save and you go, oh, save it in this place. Then you realize you've saved something that's a similar process. You're like, just wasted. And because it takes longer to build a new process as well, doesn't it? It might be a 10-minute task, but it's going to take you an hour to actually define it, set this up, plug that into that, twizzle the pink thing up on there and get it going. So it's really important that you don't waste your time, especially if it's a new business.
Yeah, with the new business, it's brilliant if you're already mapping out those processes, because I guarantee those processes will change as you grow, but it's much easier to change or add a step or remove a step from an existing process, or to review that process and go, what do I need to do now I'm busier or I have more clients or whatever that looks like. It's much easier to review a process than it is to go, oh my God, now I'm really busy. I'm like struggling. I don't have time to do anything. Well, you don't have time at that point now to review your processes or create a new one. So it's setting them up and then working on them again, working on your business for a small amount of time each week and making sure that you're doing things as easily and as effectively as possible. You don't want to be that bottleneck in your own business because everything needs to go through you.
Yeah, absolutely. And that bottleneck is a tough place. Once you've got yourself into it and things start jamming into you, actually then finding that time, super hard, really hard.
Absolutely.
Cool. Okay, we're over halfway now. What's habit number 4?
Habit number 4 is calendar ownership. So this pulls together everything we've spoken about already and treating your calendar as sacred. So time blocking, setting boundaries. So boundaries are really important. When are you working? When are you not working? Because you don't want to be taking client calls at 9:30 at night. You don't want to be, having that kind of scope creep where things turn into bigger than you hope they were. So having boundaries on your business when you're working, when you're not. Use your calendar. I always put my non-negotiables in first. So my exercise, my going for a walk, going for the gym, picking the kids up from the train station, anything that I want to do, whether I've got meetings with friends, those kind of things, they go in my calendar first. And that then lets me know how much work time I've got. And this is where batching your tasks comes in. So, for example, I might have 4 hours in the morning that I put down for focused client work. So if I already have a list of all my client work, I know that I can batch that work together into my focus time. Or if I have an admin afternoon, I can then pull my admin tasks from my batch list and have an afternoon of admin work. And all of that has already been sorted so that I know what I need to do and block them into those kind of areas. So it's about making your calendar work for you, slotting in the things you need to do. And then once you build those little blocks of work, deciding what of your batch tasks you're going to pop in there so that you're focused for little blocks of time on certain categories of work. So focus work or admin work or calls. I have my calls completely separate. So I have my focus work in the morning and my calls in the afternoon, because I know that once I've been on a call with somebody, I find it really difficult then to focus back into doing client work, because I'm kind of just had a great conversation, might have got a new client. I am kind of all excited. And then I find it really difficult to go, okay, what was I doing before? What technical work or system setup or something am I doing? And that's just two different end of the spectrum for me. So I keep them completely separate in my diary.
Yeah. No, I agree with that as well. It's about putting the work you want where you want it, because I don't know about where your peaks in the day are. That circadian rhythm about when are you at your best, and saving those best moments for the most important work. Yeah. Because if you're putting that bit of data entry in at your productivity peak, probably not the best use of time. So actually being really tight around that.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I'm definitely more focused in the morning. So I tend to do my client work in the morning, and then I can be more chatty and sociable in the afternoon, knowing that I'm not missing my client work. So it works really well for me to do that. But I have to time block in everything else that needs to be done. Otherwise, I would just head down and forget that I need to pick somebody up from the train, or I need to, do something that's in my calendar.
Yeah, like picking the kids up from school, from the train, wherever they are. Okay. So what is our final habit, and habit number 5?
Okay, habit number 5 is probably my favorite habit. We were talking about this before. So done is better than perfect. So this is all about developing a bias towards action rather than perfection. So don't get weighed down with the process needing to be perfect, the document needing to look a certain way, the words to be 100% before you can click go on something. It's all about getting it good enough and getting it out there. Just keep moving, one step. Again, like I said, get the processes on paper. It's much easier to go back and review and refine than it is to start from scratch. So it's that just constantly pushing yourself towards action instead of perfection. And it helps keep momentum high. I find it motivates me, because I now say to myself, action over perfection. I'm not kind of berating myself to be perfect. I've done this, it's good, it's going, and it keeps me kind of motivated and keeps me moving forwards.
Yeah. And do you think that simulates the endorphin hit of doing the social media procrastination as well? Actually getting smaller incremental wins quicker is better. Like 4 wins, I win every half an hour, so I'm going to do this for half an hour, this for half an hour, this better than, right, I've got 2 hours, and at the end of 2 hours I'm going to have this. Is that what you find, is those smaller focus?
If you're trying to focus on perfection, are you ever going to get that dopamine hit? Because at what point do you actually go, oh my God, this is perfect? So like, we beat ourselves up, and we actually probably end up with the other end of it and higher cortisol, trying to make ourselves like reach this level of perfection that we've set for ourselves, which is probably way above the standard that is required anyway. When you can go, today I'm going to get this done, and at the end of the day I'm going to click go, whether it's perfect or not. And if I need to come back and review and refine, then I will. But it's about just moving forwards. You're more critical of what you do than anybody else is going to be.
Yeah, absolutely. That I'm a tinkerer. That is my curse.
Yeah.
Is I love a good tinker. So I have to be like, no, this is good, this is effective. And also it helps if someone else tells you it's nice, and like, oh, that's good. You don't like, because then you can go, I can leave that once people respond to things. So that's always a good one.
Yeah.
And it's that, as Mark's saying, it's that bias towards action. Because if you've got that mental loop of how does this look perfect, and then trying to get there, sometimes that wall becomes that you can't get past it, can you?
Yeah, it is impossible, and that's the same for every area of life. I'm a weightlifter, so for me, like, I don't see instant results. It's like I have to keep going. I have to keep taking action towards a healthy life and hope that I keep a healthy life. So it's like I'm very much like you, I'm a tinkerer. So I'd rather get something done, get it out there, and then once it's live, I get there. Yeah, it's live, and then I'll think about it a little bit, and then another idea will pop up, and I can go in and implement that idea, get another hit of dopamine and well done, and a tick box. And that's constant little ticks towards something that moves towards perfect, instead of beating yourself up because it's not perfect right from the beginning.
Absolutely. And it's just being wary of that trap of tinkering in the wrong place, because it's a nice, it feels nice, it feels warm, it feels fuzzy. But actually, no one else cares but you, and you're not actually doing anything to move your business on.
Yeah. Cool. It's that line, that'll do, pig. So you've got to know when to stop.
Nice. Right. I've got that far into the conversation. Are we in habit 5 or 4? I can't remember.
We've done them all.
We've done 5. Okay, we've done 5. Okay, we got a bit of time. So do you have any what bonus bit of technology would you bring in to pull all this together? Is there one
Oh,
thing that you'd say, have a think
goodness.
about this? And
There,
this is a
there are.
complete surprise question as well. So
It is a surprise question. Absolutely. Okay, so Zapier for me is a brilliant tool. So even if you don't have super systems set up, or you do have certain systems set up, wherever you are, Zapier can help you do something. So Zapier is a tool that moves data. So when you're looking at your processes, for example, if you need to move data around, so if you need to potentially, you could use it for something like creating an invoice, so that you could say, when X client fills in this form with their information on, create an invoice, and it can use the information in two places, so that you're not kind of having to move that data manually. So there's loads, like Zapier links with pretty much everything out there these days, and can just help automate small parts of your processes. So that's definitely a tool I would say for everybody it's worth looking at. It has a very generous free plan, so it's not something that's going to cost a huge amount of money, but it's a great little tool for automating small parts of processes. Other tools, what tools do I like? I love Fathom at the moment. I don't know how many people are using Fathom to record their conversations and their calls, but what I use it for is if I have a conversation or a sales call with somebody, I take my Fathom recording and I pop it into ChatGPT with the learnings off. So make sure your learnings are always off, so it's not using your data for anything. But I drop it into ChatGPT and I ask ChatGPT to pull out the key information from that sales call. And then I keep that information in my CRM with the person I've spoken to, so that the next time we have a conversation, all that information's there and it's ready. So the CRM is really important, my pipeline, and keeping track of my conversations. But the other thing you can use it for is your marketing. So if you can pull out the keywords, so if it's, say you have a sales call and you're chatting to somebody about where they are in their business, you know, what are their reasons for talking to you, why now, what's changed, you know, those kind of action triggers and buying decision making, you can ask ChatGPT to pull those out for you in the words of the person that you've been talking to. And therefore you now have the words that your clients are using, the thoughts that your clients are having, to be able to tailor your marketing back to those thoughts and feelings, as opposed to, I think we're too close to our own business. So what I think a client wants, in my words, is probably very techie, very systemsy, because I'm geeky and I'm in this all day, every day. But actually, they don't want to work till 10 o'clock at night, or, you know, they've got this problem or that problem, or they need more clients, but they don't have enough time. So actually, their thoughts and feelings are very different to what I potentially thought that my service would fix. So it's, I find it, Fathom is brilliant for being able to capture that data in order for you to then use it to feed back into your marketing. So that's a big one for me. It is the best meeting recorder out there at the moment. And again, the free plan is more than plenty. People don't need to be paying for it.
No, I love it. I love it. I use Fathom. I've actually got the paid version, and it's quite interesting because you can ask it to put a filter on it straight away. So whether it's a sales call, it's a demo, whatever you're doing, and it really because it gives you a different structure to the information. So it's definitely leading the way out there. Much better than the Gemini thing that's just been put into the world. But obviously, at some point, there is going to be a bit of a curve where it goes something that happens like that. But they probably just need more people using it, I reckon. Okay,
definitely.
Cool. So let's recap with the 5 habits, and then we'll just tell people where they can find you. So what was habit number 1?
Habit number one is brain dump and batch everything. So get it all out of your head onto paper and split it into task types.
Nice. Habit number 2.
Habit number 2 is processes. So standard operating procedures for everything. Everything. Get it out of your head, get it onto paper. There's a theme here.
Yeah. Habit number 3, please.
Habit number 3 is the 1 hour fixed rule. So put aside an hour a week to spend working on your business to get these processes and procedures written out and organized.
Love it. Habit number 4.
Calendar ownership. Start using your calendar to block your time, mark out the things that are important, know what you're doing and when.
Nice. And habit number 5.
Done is better than perfect.
Love it.
Keep moving forwards.
Love it. Love it. Brilliant. So with that in mind, if people want to find out a bit more about you, where can they find you and what are you working on at the moment? And how could they work with you if they wanted to?
Okay, so I am only really on social media on LinkedIn, but I'm on LinkedIn as Victoria Lewis. So they can find me there. I do have an email newsletter that goes out a couple of times a week, but they can find the details for that on LinkedIn too. What am I working on? I only really have one main service. So I help, like I said before, founders, agency owners to streamline and automate their businesses. So I'm working on, I've probably got 4 or 5 clients at the moment where we've gone through various stages where we audit their business, we understand what they're doing and why, what they need their systems to do. I then go away and put together the perfect package for them, and then I implement everything for them. So I've got 3 or 4 clients at various stages in that process at the moment. And I think I've got a handover next week. So yeah, so that's what I spend my days doing, organising and implementing systems for other people. And if anybody needs help with any systems based, you know, even if it's just a little bit of advice on what might work for them, they can drop me a DM on LinkedIn and I'll be more than happy to help them out.
Nice. Amazing. Amazing.
Amazing.
Cool.
What are you working on at the moment? Anything?
What am I working on? So
Yeah.
anything. So I'm wrapping up the first wave of the productivity pod for the year, which is really good. With a couple of ideas coming into the world. And then in the middle of March, I will be starting another productivity pod. And that's for basically people who want to bring their ideas to life. So if they can't necessarily afford your services, but they want to do all the work, they can come to me and they've run a 9-week productivity sprint to actually execute everything they want.
Amazing.
So, and it's about that incremental progress. It's funny. This is why when you were talking, it's like, yeah, because we talk about on the business and in the business. We talk about writing it down. We talk about how they actually get there and why they procrastinate and the time blocking. So everything you were talking about are the things that show up in my 9-week productivity sprint. I was just like, this is it. But you're smarter than me because you can do most of the tech stuff, as I can only do a little bit. so it's really nice to have someone actually push my thinking. Pushing my thinking and getting me to work a bit harder. And as well, I do have a newsletter which is called the Productivity Prod, and it's not a newsletter, it's a prod. So it helps people think about how they can be more productive, and it's somewhere on my LinkedIn profile. And if people want to watch more of these or my other conversation, Ops Up Inside Your Head, there's my YouTube channel, so you can come and subscribe, and you can get a feed of all of these videos and watch back for the last about a year and a half now. So I think there's about 40 videos in there of all conversations like this, optimizing your business, thinking all things operations. So there are a couple of people who put thank you for this. So Vicky, this is brilliant. People have really enjoyed it today. So thank you, Agatha, and thank you, Katie, as well. This has been a brilliant conversation. I think I've got a feeling there's another one in here with us somewhere. So I am going to, definitely. There's more to be had here. So I'm going to say thank you very much. Thank you everyone for joining in. Enjoy your lunches and have a brilliant day.
Thank you for having me.